So Canadians celebrate the 150th anniversary of our partial patriation from British rule, and that we became a self-governing British colony in 1867. But substantial decisions still had to be approved by the British Parliament. And so it was 35 years ago that in 1982 we had the repatriation of our Constitution, including what we have known as the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And so what is actually part of a Constitution? Well, it's really the framework of who we are, about rights, freedoms, privileges, responsibilities, and how our government functions. Now, it's ironic that as we celebrate, especially July 1st, Canada Day or Dominion Day as it was once known, how nonetheless we're very much a culture of personal autonomy. We want what we want, when we want, how we want. If people get in the way, well, it's my way before our way. And so it's always call it a healthy tension, but I think ultimately what we are as Canadians is not who we are as individuals, but who we are as a whole people. And so the Constitution reminds us of what makes us Canadians versus any other nation. And so we celebrate that, and again, that healthy tension. And so Jesus gives a certain constitution today in that he reminds us of the call to the commandment of love. Now, when we use the term love, we say, I love my country. I love ice cream. I love my brother, my sister, my mother. And in Greek, they have forms of expressions of love to describe those things, whether it's patria, love of country, philia, love of friendship, eros, like love of passionate things, of ice cream, or like zealous love. However, the word that Jesus used in terms of love one another, to abide in that love, is agape, which is to love another for the other's sake totally, self-interested or self-disinterested love. Now, in terms of the commandment, it only makes sense in light of the person who gives this commandment, who is, of course, Jesus, who ultimately, through his public ministry, his miracles, and he is particularly on the cross, this shows the depths of total self-giving for the other. And so it's always a reminder that the constitution of the church is this call to agape, to self-disinterested love, to love for the other's sake. Now, last year we completed the Year of Mercy, in which Pope Francis called each person to renew this call of God's grace or mercy in a very tangible way, to make it fruitful in our own personal lives and then to share it with others. Well, the Year of Mercy was also celebrated the 50th anniversary of Vatican II. And one of the constitutions of Vatican II was Gaudium et Spes, the church in the modern world. And so the article that John Paul II referred to most often in his own encyclicals was Gaudium et Spes Article 22, reminding us that human beings were the only creatures created for God's sake alone, and that one can only find oneself in the total self-giving. So we really want to find out who we are. We have to give of ourselves, which is very much contrary to our Western culture that says it's personal autonomy. It's all about me. No, it's all about we. And this is really what constitutes us as Christians, this call to agape, modeled on the very person of Jesus. And all the sacraments are really the pouring forth of God's grace and mercy, but it doesn't stop here. God's kingdom is constituted, of course, in the very person of Jesus, and it must be shared. The very word Mass implies this call to mission. Ita missa est is the conclusion of the Mass when celebrated in Latin. So the word Mass comes from the word missa, mission. So we've been constituted to be like Christ, to give of ourselves. Well, we have to give ourselves out in the world. So when we go shopping, or out in the community, when we're back at home, or we're at school, wherever the Lord is, to bring this sense of agape to those places in our world that need to encounter it. And so we celebrate the 150th anniversary of Canada being, for the most part, a self-governing British colony, so that we have this independence. And now, 35 years ago, we'll celebrate 1982, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. What constitutes us as Canadians? Well, what really constitutes us both as Canadian Catholics is the commandment to love, agape. And so let's be instruments of God's love as we've encountered in the very person of Jesus at this Mass, to in turn to share with others who need to be constituted or reconstituted in Christ's love.